Namaskar and very good evening to all participants. Today, this is our third class, actually the fourth class if you include the introductory talk. Okay, I shall begin, even though I see there's only 37 participants. Right. So today we'll continue with the our third lesson. Okay, without any further ado, I will carry on. Okay, so as usual, before I begin, I shall pay my obeisance to my Guru Deva, who's the force and the inspiration behind this sharing. Okay, so this is an initiative of the Ananda Marga Yoga Society. Okay, Ananda Marga means the path of bliss. It's a tantric school of yoga, okay, which has a global presence. And our motto is Atma Mokshatam Jagat Hitaya Cha. So our founder, Sri Sri Anandamurti, he founded a global organization in 1955. Okay, so with the sole purpose of spreading the gospel of yoga. And also, he also founded some wings, some other organization to do service. This will be the outline of this week's presentation. So introduction and key takeaways from previous class. Today again you will see the nature of mind in brief, okay, and then about the science of pranayama, about yama sadhana, okay, then a little bit on spiritual practice itself and conclusion. Okay, somehow our this course will be centered on the goal of yoga itself. Okay? The goal of yoga, according to the tantric definition, is samyoga yoga ityukto jivatma paramatma, which translates the unification of the unit soul and the universal soul. Okay? The unit soul is known as jivatma in Sanskrit and paramatma. Okay? Meaning the Sanskrit term is paramatma. And last week also we mentioned about this, that every living being in this world, they are on the journey to reach the original. So it means like naturally every living being will be attracted to go back to its own source, especially after taking the human form. Okay, and this is known as the soul's natural dharma or natural expression. Okay, and last week we discussed about some concepts like purushartha. So purusha is another term used for jivatma. Okay, purusha, and the purushartha means what is desired by purusha, every soul, and every soul need to fulfill 4 things, okay, which are kama or physical, the need for physical survival, artha or the need for expanding the knowledge and progressing, dharma or the need to seek, the need to seek one's own origin. Okay, this is also known as psycho-spiritual longing and the spiritual longing. So what is the difference? I already elaborated about what is kama and what is artha. So what is the difference between psycho-spiritual and spiritual? Psycho-spiritual or dharma is an awakening. It's a phase of awakening. And the aspirant still very much an individual, very much concerned about his own spiritual progress. Okay, that's why in this world you will see many spiritual traditions. Okay? Some traditions, they will isolate themselves completely from the world. Okay, so that is part and parcel of the process. Before a person mature to be a real spiritual aspirant, there will be a psycho-spiritual aspirant. Okay, so that's the difference in the term. But anyway, you don't have to worry. You can consider both as spiritual. It doesn't matter. Okay. Then last week also we discussed about this mind. Understanding the nature of mind and managing it is of prime importance for self-improvement and sadhana. Okay, that's the first thing. That means, like earlier, I mean, until the last class, okay, the focus will be the union. But again, the union between the unit soul with the universal consciousness. Yet you don't understand yourself as the unit consciousness or as the soul. Not yet. But you have to start somewhere. So that's why last week I posted a question in the group about how much do you understand about your individuality? How much after self-introspection? So, I mean, that question was directed to the beginners in this course. So, because there are some spiritual senior aspirants as well. And out of that, I think only 1/3 responded. 2/3, I didn't receive any response. Okay. So basically, the question is because you have to dig. I mean, you have to do the self-introspection. You have to dig yourself to find out what it is. So somehow in the Yoga Shastra, even through the teaching of our Guru Deva, so he said you have to start from the mind. So mind, because human being is also known as Manapradhan creatures. Manapradhan means a creature whose mind is more developed compared to other life form. So for a beginner, so you need to understand these three: conscious, subconscious, unconscious. Okay? You just get clear about it. Okay, that is it. That is enough for a beginner. And we also discussed about this, the first limb of Astaunga Yoga, Yama. Okay, so Yama is actually, it's about maintaining a balance with the external world. We will revisit that also this week because there are 5 Yamas. We covered one last week, which is Satya. So this week we'll cover Ahimsa and Asteya. So this is again what I mentioned about Purushartha. So in every life, okay, human being, you have the fuel, okay, the fuel to complete your life. Just like you have the fuel, the petrol for your car. Okay, so how much? Suppose you fill the tank, full tank, and you will complete the your journey. Maybe 500 kilometers after you fill up the thing one time. So just like that, human being, we have just like you have the momentum which will carry you. So based on that, your lifespan is determined. And throughout your life, you'll express yourself through karma for survival, through artha for your progress. Yeah? And some people will express through dharma. Yes, it's some. Not everybody will be attracted. I mean, if you follow a religion, not necessarily you are into dharma. Okay, the dharma is something personal. It's not. And I mean, most religions are actually religions are organized. It's organized religion. They are not. What do you call that? I mean, they don't fit into that category. Okay, so dharma is your personal journey. So you have to ask questions. You have to find out. You have to research. You have to do sadhana. Okay, and of course, if very few people follow dharma, definitely not many people pursue moksha also. Right. So, so again, you also, even the first class itself, we discussed about the concept of Astaunga Yoga. So Astaunga Yoga is it's a systematic approach to elevate human consciousness. Okay, so you should ask each statement. You should ask. So if Astaunga Yoga is a systematic approach to elevate human consciousness, so are you saying that my consciousness is not elevated enough? Okay, so we have discussed earlier that our consciousness we express through what I call physical longing. That means you can be focused in your whole life. You can be only focused for survival and progress. Okay, so that is one level of consciousness. Okay, so when we're talking about elevate human consciousness, it means to go beyond survival mode, beyond the mode of progress. Okay? Then last week I mentioned about these 8 limbs. These 8 limbs. So you have yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara. Okay. The first 5 lanes, they are known as what you call Bahiranga yoga or external yoga. Because you can do it. One thing is, you are capable of doing it. Okay? For example, yama, maintaining balance with your external world. So it's your doing. Okay? And while you deal with the external world, you can do. Niyama is how you maintain balance within. Okay? So there are practices. Asana, you can do it. Pranayama, you can do it. I mean, after you being taught. Pranayama, you can do it. Pratyahara also. Okay? But without mastering these 5, okay, I mean, you will refine your consciousness to a certain level, you cannot enter the second realm of Antaranga Yoga. Because Antaranga Yoga, you begin with the higher koshas. Remember, I shared about the 5 layers of mind. So the first, what you call, first, what you call layers, conscious mind. Okay. Then the second layer is subconscious. Okay, that means, and then the third layer is the first layer of unconscious. It's also known as supramental. So your what do you call initial effort is to deal with these 3. Okay, so you don't expect yourself to jump to savikalpa or nirvikalpa samadhi. See, you'll be working on this. So after diligently working on these 3 layers, okay, and after you attain mastery, then only you can enter the realm of dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, right? So you need to be very clear, okay? You need to be very clear about it. All right. The next. Okay, so as I mentioned, okay, so we have to remember this just for you, just to recap. Okay? 8 limbs: yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So the result of Astaunga Yoga sadhana is self-unfoldment. Okay, so that means naturally when you do this practice, you may believe in it or you may not believe in it. Okay, you need to have faith, but that practice work. You have to do it seriously. So when you sincerely involve in the practice, self-unfoldment happens. That means you will gain control over conscious mind. So when you gain control over conscious mind, you gain control over your expression. So you will control your selfishness. Okay, you become more selfless. For example, the first leg of Astaunga Yoga, it's about being inclusive, about being all inclusive. Whereas the natural, the normal human being used to be very selfish. Okay, because you think that you are more important. Okay, that is the natural expression for survival. Okay, but a person who took up yogic practice, so they'll be trained. It's not only about you. So you have to maintain harmony around. Then only you can live, isn't it? Nobody can live alone. So first gaining control over the expression of conscious mind, then control over the subconscious mind. Okay. After these 2, then the unconscious, that is another. So that we will cover today. So what is actually the prime concern in the first layer of unconscious mind? Okay. It is actually the pattern that you have. Okay, the pattern, the existing unconscious pattern, which actually form a conditioning. Okay, so you have to break each of this and move. And unfoldment takes place naturally. Okay, so again, to recap. So how each of the practice. Okay, so your body, so you need to take proper diet and proper physical labor, physical exercise, even housework and all that. So keep your body, to keep your body fit. Okay, and proper diet in yoga. Okay, I may not cover in this course unless somebody asks about this. So wholesome diet, easily digestible, that's what I will mention. See? But if you go to the another level after this course, then we'll go specifically about what is the best diet for a yogic practitioner. And Kama Maya, so this is the conscious mind which I mentioned. To balance this, you have to follow both yama and niyama strictly. And manomaya kosa, pranayama. This week we will discuss about pranayama. So atimanasa, this is the first layer of unconscious. Okay. So you have to break a certain pattern which exists, or modify, or whatever. Okay, that's a real task. Okay? Then the last two is actually the work of internal yoga. Okay, the earlier one is the external yoga. Again, you look at. So in brief, I think you remember from last week, conscious mind being guided by instinct. Okay? Food, sleep, sex, fear, and anything to do with your physical body, any desire, any of your expression for survival. In subconscious mind concerns learning, memory, problem solving, thinking, dreaming, and so on. Okay, unconscious has three more layers. Okay, unconscious of the causal mind, and here it stores the unconscious thought patterns, or technically in Sanskrit is known as samskara. And in the unconscious mind, so this we are talking collectively about all the three within unconscious. Intuition. So viveka and vairagya means the ability to discriminate between good and bad, and the ability to withstand any form of pain, any form of disturbance. Okay, and above that, higher awareness, close to the soul awareness. So some people may ask, what is the benefit of practicing yoga? I'm not interested in enlightenment, or maybe I'm a good person. Okay, I'm a good citizen. Why I should take up all this with a lot of discipline? Okay, see, by gaining control, by unfolding the unconscious mind, see, you gain mastery over yourself, and you can deal with a lot of problems in your life easily compared to other people. Okay, you can avoid yourself from becoming a lunatic. And most of those who have lived at least 3 to 5 decades or 6 decades, so what kind of problem that we face in life. It's not easy. Life itself, a normal course of life, full of challenges. Okay, but when you are more spiritually developed, okay, you can look at the same problem which others look differently, from different perspective, and you can find a solution. Okay, so this week we will look at the concept of samskara. So when you talk about mind, it's not just like you are thrown into the world, okay, out of nowhere to deal with the problem. Okay, there's something in you which actually contributes to that. So according to the philosophy of yoga, okay, everyone, everyone performs karma, action, isn't it? To perform karma is normal. Everyone perform action. So every action will have its reaction. Okay, a simple example is that you take a ball, throw the ball to the wall, bounce back, and comes back to you. Right? So the ball which bounces back is the reaction. So you don't just do one one type of action. You do a lot of action. Okay. So the collection of all this action, reaction, or karma pala, is also known as samskara. Okay, and this is being stored in your unconscious mind. So I also rather call it as the unconscious thought pattern. Unconscious thought pattern. It means you don't even know that it is there. Okay, most of your motives. For example, somebody suddenly have some kind. Like you choose a particular profession. Okay, so everyone is telling that you should become a doctor, do this. That is a typical thing. Become a doctor, become an engineer. But you choose to become a historian. You choose to become a geologist. Okay, some natural inclination is there. Okay, this is from your samskara, the unconscious thought pattern. That is just one example. There are many things like that. Okay, so out of nowhere you like one girl from a different culture, a different race. Okay, so not all cases. I'm talking about attraction between people. Okay, sometimes it's just physical attraction, but sometimes it's an attraction which involves this samskara. Okay. Also, repulsion. You see somebody you don't like. First, first time meeting the person, for no reason you don't like the person. Some connection is there. Right. So the samskara, so I won't go too deep into this, but I will ask the admin to share one of my videos in the Bhagavad Gita series where I talk about this karma yoga in detail. So maybe you can watch that video. And also, um, I mean, in the next class, of course, I will like elaborate more about this concept. Okay, but for today, so just let's see the various forms of samskara. So one is inborn. So inborn means, according to yoga, so you don't have one life. So you inherit this from yourself from one of your previous life. So see, there are many modern parapsychologists in their research, they found out about this. Okay. For example, there's one doctor, Dr. Brian Weiss, who's a psychiatrist. So, and he specializes in regression. Okay. So regression, you put the patient into hypnosis and bring them to for example, if the patient is 20 years old, 25 years old, so they can give outer suggestion, and bring their mind when they are 10 years old, backward, and pick what happened exactly at certain time, which actually uh, contribute to their current illness. Okay, this is the regression therapy. So this Dr. Brian was so it so happened I mean, a patient was sent to him. She's a young woman, and she has fear problem, a fear complex. I mean, it's not just fear about one thing. People may have fear of snakes, fear of water, and she is basically fearful about everything. And accidentally during the regression therapy, she slipped into another life, another previous life. And of course, it was a very difficult situation for the doctor because according to the training that he received, there is no such thing. There's no such thing as past life. You see? But he let himself to explore it. And when he was convinced it is true, and he wrote a book on that. So he declared it. He declared the thing, and he wrote this one book, Many Lives, Many Masters. So just Google it, Many Lives, Many Masters. The book is even available in the PDF form. And didn't care about this, about jeopardizing his reputation. Okay? But he said, I have to tell the truth. So you inherit things. I mean, that is just one example. There are many examples. I also mentioned about Dr. Ian Stevenson. She also did research about all this. Okay? So inborn samskara, you inherit from previous life, and also through genes. That means the nature of your ancestors. Okay? That is also an inborn samskara, form of inborn samskara. Another form of inborn samskara is the samskara for your survival. Like baby will drink milk immediately after being born. Nobody. So that is inborn samskara according to the survival instinct. The next is acquired samskara. Acquired samskara you collect through new action. Any action that you perform repeatedly, the pattern you will actually will become part of you later, become your samskara. The other one is imposed. Okay, so your environment, okay, the family you grew up, the immediate surrounding, your neighbors, okay, so the kind of society you live in. So the world itself, for example, now is pandemic period, okay. So many children, those who were born this time, okay, it's very different. So it will influence them in certain way, okay. Suppose you were born in 70s, that era will influence you, or 80s, okay. So environment. So even what today they talk about this concept about globalization. Okay? Globalization where we are very well connected. So we see same kind of movies. Okay, almost like all of us we see American movies, for example. So this become collective samskara which influence us, the kind of music that we listen, okay, and most important, the kind of the economic system that we follow. The whole world we are following the capitalist economic system, except the communist countries. Even communist countries like China and Vietnam, they already opened up their market. Okay, so the idea of this capitalist economy came from Adam Smith, the economist who wrote the book The Wealth of Nations. Okay, somehow that idea it's only went deep into your mind. Okay, so we also believe in that. We believe in consumerism. We believe in consumption. All these ideas the businessmen bombarded to you through advertisement, and you don't know why you're doing certain things. Okay, that is samskara. Okay, so in fact, I would say the religion which everyone is following is the religion of capitalism. Okay, because everyone is made to understand that everyone was made to believe that money is everything, seeking comfort is everything. That is the purpose of life. Okay, so this is imposed samskara. Okay, so again, your immediate family members, your family, your parents especially, friends, colleagues, etc. So even the kind of movie that we watch, the kind of book, so all this will influence your nature. So how that concept is connected to your sadhana is that you have to break that thing. So our whole life is influenced by samskaras, and by speeding up the process of exhausting. Okay, now you are exhausting your samskara gradually according to a certain pattern. But if you take up yogic practice or other similar practice, you're kind of you are actually into speeding up this process because you want to unfold your higher consciousness. Okay? But there are certain protocols that you have to follow, okay? Certain commitment that you need there, and you can actually speed up your evolution. Okay, and at the same time, for those of you who think, no, I am fine with my life, you're fine. But again, you must watch the pattern in your mind. Okay? So if you continue to gather negative, new samskara, okay, new negative samskara, so nothing much will change in your life. In fact, it may get worse. Okay? So you have to, so last week I mentioned about the subconscious mind. It's a subconscious mind which actually constantly pick things up from outside, from the external world. Okay? So regular sadhana is also a process of creating new samskara, but you are planting positive samskara. Okay, right? So I have mentioned this earlier. I've shown this diagram earlier. So you see your action. So your awareness is at several levels apart from your body. So your mind, you have subjective and objective mind. The chitta or the done I is your objective mind. Aham and Mahat is your Mahat is your I consciousness, the first I consciousness. Okay, and then Aham is the consciousness of being the doer. Okay, but because we are so engrossed with our action, so we identify ourselves with the action that we do, repeated action with the repeated action. For example, a policeman, okay, he has to constantly be suspicious about people. So he comes back also is very suspicious about everybody. Somehow it become a nature. If someone become a lawyer, I'm not blaming a lawyer, but if a lawyer is constantly involved in telling lies to help the client to escape certain case, that become part of his nature. Okay, that means Lord Buddha used to say, Samyak Ajiva. Okay? So Buddha, he gave also the path of, they call it eightfold path. Okay, so he mentioned Samyak Karmanta, Samyak Darshan and all that. So one of it is said Samyak Ajiva. So Samyak Ajiva means you must have a proper profession, because the profession that you are involved in from 9 to 5 or whatever, regularly you're doing certain kind of work, that becomes your nature. Okay, someone is a doctor, so the identification with that profession is very strong. Okay, someone is a lawyer, or someone is a thief, for example. So your action, you are what you do actually. So that's why The chitta means like your awareness or your consciousness will be relegated to the level of chitta. So now just now we talk about samskara, the samskara is in chitta, okay, at the third layer. All right. Now we go to pranayama. So the science of pranayama. So like earlier in the diagram I showed that pranayama, practice of breath control, okay, affects your subconscious mind. Okay? Helps you to master the subconscious mind. So our master said that the mind is the master of the senses, master of sense organs. Okay, the 5 motor organ, the 5 sensory organs, and the vital air are the master of the mind. Okay, the mind itself will be controlled by the vital air. So what are the vital air? Okay, let's say. So pranayam came from the word prana. There are 5 vital air, major vital air, and 5 subpranas. And ayama means that which is being controlled. So there are 10 vital airs, okay, which controls various functions such as breathing, excretion, blood circulation, heartbeat, and so on. Okay, and the main pranas are prana, apana, samana, vyana, and udana. And subpranas are naga, krikara, devadatta, kurma, and dhananjaya. You don't have to memorize this; you just need to understand the concept. Okay, so if you see this diagram, so there's this prana is the main one. So prana move upward, and the region of prana is between the throat and the chest. Okay, so this controls your breathing, your heartbeat, right? And then the other one is apana. So apana is from the navel through the organ of, all this, your organ of excretion. Okay, so apana move downwards, and then the middle one samana. So the apana responsible to expelling things from your, when stool, urine, even assist menstruation, ejaculation, to expel the sperm, and also for childbirth. So all this is controlled by apana vayu, and samana is responsible for your digestion. It maintains the balance. And vyana is for your blood circulation. So vyana, it circulates the entire body, and udana, it moves upwards, throat to head. That controls your cognitive ability. Okay. So pranayama, through pranayama, you control this, you regulate this. Okay. So your mastery over your body is greater, and also mastery over your mind. Okay. So this is in brief. So the region covered by all those what they call pranas. For example, even udana controls your speech, expression, your expression. So the samana governs your assimilation. So assimilation, digestion and assimilation of nutrient into your, into your bloodstream. Okay. And apana, elimination is important, and then vyana. So whenever this prana get disturbed, in fact, before death, all this prana get disturbed. That's why sometimes if you observe people before their death, they will have constant hiccups. Okay, that's a sign. That's an early sign that the prana is already in a disturbed state. Okay, if people have that, within a few weeks they will die. Okay. Then we have the upaprana. Okay, for example, naga. The function is belching and hiccups, and kurma, blinking, opening eyes. And krikara, it will generate hunger, thirst, sneezing, and coughing. Devadatta, it induces sleep and yawning. And dhananjaya, it affects muscles. Whenever you are injured, when there's a swelling, that is dhananjaya. Even after death, post death, this assists this is the last vayu which leave the body. All the other vayus will left, and this one will make the body to swell. In the case of burial, okay, even if you find somebody dying, they find the body after a few days, through unnatural death, the body will be swelling. That is because of Dhananjaya. So in the practice of Astanga Yoga, so pranayama affects the subconscious mind. Okay, so on average, your mind, you generate 50,000 thoughts in 1 hour. So you multiply that by your waking hours, then you get the number. And then you repeat 90% of this the next day. So this is how the pattern in your life continues in the same manner. Okay, through pranayam, you gain mastery over it. Okay? In fact, when you generate lesser thoughts, okay, you will be healthier. Okay, your mind will be more powerful. Okay, so now we'll go to Yama Sadhana. Yama Sadhana, the same thing. So we have Ahimsa, Satya, Steya. So I mentioned in the beginning itself, Yama is about maintaining a balance. Okay, Yama Sadhana is about how you maintain a balance with other people within our environment. So the symbol for it is this triangle. So Yama is a triangle. Niyama is also a triangle, but it faces downward. Okay, so you must have an integral outlook towards others. Means you have to be inclusive. So last week we mentioned about, we discussed about this Satya. So Satya means, is defined as Parahita. Sorry, Parahitartam Vanmanasa Jatartatvam Satya. That means through Satya, what you do is, that means you are constantly dealing with other people. So how you deal with people? Through your mind and through your senses. So the principle of Satya says that, so whenever you deal, with other people, you have to ensure that your action results in their welfare. So Parahita means welfare. Okay, so by following this principle, your conscience will be clear. Okay, and when you violate the principle of Satya, your conscience will be affected. Okay, and that will actually affect the balance between conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. Right, your willpower will be weakened. So this week we will see Ahimsa. So all the other practice in Yama is related to Satya. So if you follow Satya, the rest will follow. So Ahimsa means not to inflict pain on others by word, thought, and deed. But at the same time, Ahimsa means, in a way, means not to cause injury to others. But at the same time, you must understand, resisting to violence, okay, whenever someone with antisocial behavior try to attack you. So in the Mahabharata, so why Krishna, when Arjuna said that he should not fight, and Krishna said, you must fight, this battle of Dharma. That means when somebody try to block your expression, somebody try to cause you harm, so you have to retaliate, you have to defend yourself. Okay, a robber enters your house. I practice Ahimsa. He come take everything that you like. Come harm my family members. Can you do that? So that is the Gandhian Ahimsa, which most gurus don't support that. Okay, so that is a misinterpretation of Ahimsa. Okay, Ahimsa means you don't consciously go and harm others unnecessarily. When your existence is in jeopardy, you should defend yourself. Right. So that is Ahimsa. So the other one now is Asteya. So Asteya means is to renounce the desire to acquire or retain the wealth of others. Okay, so it means non-stealing. So even there should be no tendency of stealing in mind. Okay, because if you have that thought, eventually it will materialize. At the same time, depriving others from what is due to them is also a form of stealing. Last week I mentioned, suppose you are a superior officer, you are a manager, you don't like one of your staff for some reason, for some incidents and all that, but when the time comes for you to write evaluation, to do the evaluation, so you give a very bad evaluation, okay, while the person performs the job well. So here, this is a form of stealing. When you stop somebody from getting promoted, that is also a form of stealing, right? It is quite straightforward. So, okay, so another disclaimer this week, because I received some messages and all that. So in this class, I found three categories of participants. So one is the beginners. The other one is some Ananda Margis. So some are new beginner, newly initiated into Ananda Marga, and also some very senior practitioners. Okay, and then the third category is some people from other schools. I mean, they have a guru, they have been initiated. So the practice which I shared in this course is for the beginners only. Okay, so the one Ananda Margis and also the participants from other schools, you stick to your practice, your sadhana which is given to you. Okay, all right. So for the beginners, okay, see, for every practice you need the teacher, you need a guru. So here you are being prepared to take up a more serious path. Okay, so here we shared theory and also some practice. And at this moment, you should tune yourself, be attuned to your own Atma for guidance, or even for to the universal consciousness. Okay, because in fact, knowingly or unknowingly, we are being guided by the universal consciousness. Okay, all right. So, in conclusion, the first five limbs, okay, in this figure, the first five limbs of yoga are called external yoga. It works on the conscious, the subconscious, and the supramental layer of mind. And this is the foundation of the internal yoga, where the aspirant will be dealing with the sublime. That means after, like some teachers, they said minimum 12 years you have to build the foundation. Sometimes you double up that 24 years. Then after you gain some mastery in the first five limbs, then only you'll be ready for the internal yoga. Unless you are already very evolved in the previous life, straight away you go to internal yoga. For example, a person like Ramana Maharishi, okay, he didn't even practice the eight limb. So he just practiced self-inquiry through his mind. Who am I? Who am I? You know, with that deep self-introspection, you are sucked inside. Okay? And he realized himself. Because all his layers, he have very little samskara. All the koshas in his mind are very well balanced. In our case, we have to work on it. Right? So the aspirant also need to work on samskara. Say we mentioned about the theory of samskara, we discussed about it. Okay. That means, give a simple analogy. Suppose you want to travel and you are carrying some loads. Can you move very fast with a lot of loads, a lot of bags and all that? Definitely, it will slow you down. Similarly, so when a journey of life, if you have a lot of samskara, you carry a lot of samskara with you, you can't move fast. So in meditation, you cannot go deep. Okay. So you have to exhaust it, right? And the best way, I mean, just with meditation alone, you can't do that. Okay, you need the grace of Guru, assistance. Okay, if you want to, some people will say, lot of new age teachers nowadays say, no, you don't need a guru. Okay, you yourself knows. You don't need a method. So let's take, suppose you want to drive a car. If somebody said, no, you don't need a teacher, you don't need to go to driving school. What will happen? If you try to drive a car on your own, okay, you may meet an accident, you may even, cause, you may even die if something seriously happens, right? So even if you do, even let's say you manage to drive a little bit, still they won't allow you to drive on the road, right? There's a procedure. Similarly, on the path of sadhana, path of yoga, you need proper guidance. Okay, someone who can, even if for normal driving school, you need an instructor. Definitely for yoga, you need a very competent teacher. So the teachers are two categories. One is acharya, another one is guru. Okay, so acharya, they are competent to teach you, to impart the lesson. Guru, they are competent, they can impart lesson, at the same time they can even transmit knowledge. Okay, they even can pull your mind to higher realization. Okay, gurus, not easy to find the gurus. Then the external process. Okay, so the other thing, so because of the load, so you should do this karma yoga. Means you are already doing a lot of action. So you are doing a lot of action, serving your family members, your firm, you're serving your organization. Okay, you're being a good citizen. You're doing a lot of things. You might be doing charity, but there's a certain way of doing it with a right spirit, and that is karma yoga. Okay, and if you do that, the process of exhausting samskara is easier. Okay, so again, I recommend you all to watch that video on karma yoga. So I will ask the admin to share that in the group. Right. With that, I'm concluding the lesson of this week. Okay, thanks for listening. Namaskar. So now I would like to open for discussion or questions. So we have 15 minutes.
Namaskar, Padma sir.
Namaskar.
Sir, I got two questions here.
Mhm.
Actually, it's based on what you taught last week. The first question is, you said that let's say someone is working in the HR department and then they write a bad review for someone and they lose their promotion or anything. But let's say the person who wrote, they wrote about someone, right? That person deserves it. Is it still considered a bad deed, or the admin just did the right thing?
If you do your evaluation objectively, there's nothing wrong. I'm saying the example I gave is that person is doing the job well, and you may have certain misunderstanding, maybe certain quarrel for some other reason. Okay, and you hold grudge. Okay. Or maybe some other thing. Maybe the person, maybe it's a little mistake, but then on the whole, the person performs the work. So you have to write when the person performs the work well. And maybe if the person have some PR issue, so you have to give the right recommendation. Maybe send them to a course for right communication and all that. Instead of straight away say, because of your anger, you don't acknowledge all the contribution. That's what I mean.
Okay. And then my second question is, a criminal lawyer, okay, he needs to feed his family. But in that case, he's going to be defending a criminal, someone who made a mistake, like what he just said just now. So what is the right thing to do? Is it to defend the criminal to feed the family?
So if I give you, so I give you a scenario, so you all can give example. So I know a lawyer personally who let a what do you call a drug trafficker to escape on technical ground. Technical ground in law, you have some loopholes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can use the technical ground to let the person escape. Okay, so he said, "Oh, it's my dharma. I do my job." Okay, but so what will happen? What that person will do? He will continue to traffic drug, and what will happen to our society? So the action of that lawyer is not correct. If all lawyers decided not to defend, everybody should be given the. People may not agree with what I say, but everybody should be given the chance to defend themselves, right? Until you are proven guilty, but sometimes a person is guilty, right? So a lawyer should, to me, they have to choose the battle. They can continue to do that. Nobody is stopping them. They can help to acquit a criminal. That's fine. But what I'm trying to say is they will share the karma. Okay. You let a thief to escape, and that will continue. Let's say somebody you help a murderer to escape, and next time, so whatever he did, you are part of it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, and that leads to another question, so final question. Okay, so this is something that I have personally experienced. Let's say that there is someone who is helping small kids, okay, but these kids have their own parents. But by these people helping them, it is making the parents irresponsible. That means they are not doing their duty. So right now, these people are doing good or they are doing bad, because the parents seem to bail out on situations just because that there is someone always helping the kids.
See, the questions that you raised, like the last two questions,
Yeah,
including this one, is a gray area. See, but you
yeah,
see, it's quite clear. See, people who are doing social service,
yeah.
they have to do it anyway. I mean, if you don't do it, sometimes the parents are irresponsible anyway. So you abandon the kids. So the kids will, if they degenerate, it become they themselves involved in antisocial activities and become criminal. So at least they are helping. You cannot make everything right? So you cannot help the kids and at the same time make the parent responsible. Okay. So in society, you have to do what is right. Means in your judgment, if whatever you do is right, just do it. You cannot be thinking whether this will make the parents irresponsible or not. I mean, that is not within your control. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Namaskar.
Welcome. Namaskar. All right. Any other question?
Hi, Padma, Shiva here.
Yeah.
Just want to check that you mentioned that the sadhana of Astaunga yoga is to elevate human consciousness.
Okay.
And how we should, like normal people, how they know whether which level they've been elevated, or is it need to be have like guru to know are you being elevated or not, or whether you're in a base level or not, or in a zero level or not?
As a beginner, I mean, like we have this sastras. The masters, sometimes you have your guru. Okay, there are many ways of finding out this. One, you have your teacher with you. So sometimes you are lucky enough, you have a very elevated being with you who can constantly watch you and tell you, okay, you're actually progressing well or you're making a mistake. But sometimes not everyone will have this leisure, I mean, this kind of privilege of having a living master who can, sometimes. So in that context, you can always refer to Shastra. For example, if you read Yoga Sutra will give you a lot of hints. So if you are elevated a certain level, this will happen, Okay, that is one way. Another way to observe is you can observe yourself. Okay, like here we shared about mind, conscious mind, subconscious mind, unconscious mind. So I've been telling from the very beginning. So one of the important thing in sadhana is to balance the conscious and subconscious. What happens when you balance and subconscious? You become less restless. So most of the time when people are dominated by conscious and subconscious, okay, no matter what is the economic condition, they might be rich, they might be in the middle class, they might be poor, but there's no happiness in them. Okay. But if you take up this practice seriously, so when you balance the conscious and subconscious and unfold the unconscious, there's more stability in your mind. Stability which you have never seen before. And that is one sign of progress. Okay. So the other one is that you'll be more attracted to the practice. You'll be naturally another sign of progress. Naturally, you'll be very conscious of your action, not to harm people. Even when people provoke you, you'll control. I mean, it's not always. Sometimes you may lose cool, but on the whole, generally you'll be in control. Okay. And most important things, you have a natural joy within. Okay. Always happy. Okay. These are some of the signs which you can observe yourself. And to cross-check, okay, you can check with Yoga Sutra. And if you have a living master, or even not from your tradition, who can assist you, always you can associate yourself with people who are spiritually elevated. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This relate to another question. To elevate a person, is it only like to go through this yoga, or is it possible to through a bhakti, or is there some other way that a person can be elevated?
Okay, you see let me share see the beginning. I have showed this diagram. You see Astanga Yoga. So here you see on the left is the chart on Astanga Yoga. Okay. How those practices systematically brings you to elevation. And the other one is how you are being guided by nature. So nature somehow guides you. But it's a long process. It's a natural evolution. You have to take many lives. Okay, you may or may not believe, but you can just take a single life. Your current life, you see how much physical clash. So physical clash and psychic clash, mental clash. Psychic clash means mental clash. Physical clash means what you go through the physical, like sickness. Okay, like the kind of problem, pandemic. So all these kind of challenges somehow will help our mind to be elevated. So the one you mentioned about bhakti. Okay, so anyone, okay, they can have devotion when you use your emotion to connect to God, to connect to your higher consciousness. Okay, this is called attraction for the great. But because this is not done systematically, sometimes you may succeed, sometimes you may not. For example, Astanga yoga is like there's a wall, you want to see what is the other side of the wall. You use a ladder, okay, or you build a ladder, you go up, right? Easily you can go and then you come down. Then you can easily go up again. But like if you follow a practice like without a systematic approach, it's like jumping to see what is the other side. So some days maybe you may jump a bit higher and see. Okay. So it may happen accidentally. Okay. I mean, you can. I mean, people can follow the path of bhakti, but what they lose is they may not enjoy the stability of the mind. That means when they are the state of bhakti, very deeply connected to the consciousness and all that, they will be in bliss. When they come back to the normal consciousness, their conscious mind, subconscious mind will operate as usual. This is the difference. So you would say the Astanga Yoga is a very scientific approach and very systematic approach.
Noted, very clear.
Yeah.
Okay, another one more thing is like samskara karma pala, because as you mentioned that we are when we born that we already come with inborn, acquired, and imposed. So that means it's automatically that you already come with a package of things. Okay, to reduce this, the only part is karma yoga, is it? Which is
So
like
karma yoga, so there's there's stages. One is karma yoga, then you go to karma sannyasa. Okay, so first you have to understand what is karma yoga. So by this, it means like you will be exhausting your samskara quickly. Okay, that means, and also you do it with a dedicated spirit. When you do it with a dedicated spirit, you won't acquire new samskara out of the karma yoga. Okay, so means you are shedding off, and also at the same time you practice your sadhana. So both work together. And this has been done regularly.
As you clearly mentioned that all these things can lead to the path, but it takes ages.
I mean, if you don't do anything,
you
lead a normal life.
Yeah.
Even if you lead a normal life, say I don't do bad thing and all that, but still the chances of degeneration is always there. Okay. You may make mistake. So when you make mistake, you start to do bad action. Bad action, there'll be a bad reaction. So the chain.
It will increase your more
yes, then more samskara. See, see like when I did my research on this karma. I mean the theory of karma. So they said, okay, that I mean the masters they said that you tend to repeat the same pattern of karma in 7 life. Okay, and many misunderstand this. In some many Indians they said, oh, we only have 7 life. No, you repeat the same pattern in 7 life in a row. For example, the tendency of you marrying the same spouse in the next life is very high. Okay, maybe it's a bad prospect to some people, I guess. So that's one. And then same profession. Suppose you are a very good engineer in this life, the chances are you're already into engineering in several life, or you are doing something very similar to engineering. Someone is a very good doctor. You say, oh, if I go to the doctor, just by seeing him, I get well, not by eating the medicine. So that doctor could have been a shaman in one life, could have been a Ayurvedic practitioner, could have been a Unani practitioner or homeopathy. So each life, for several lives, they've been into some healing profession. So naturally, they carry the samskara. Okay. So at the same time, you also can carry all the bad samskara in 7 lives in a row. So it's not easy. I mean, nature has a lot of traps. I mean, it's like a warden, so warden won't allow the prisoners to escape. So there'll be a lot of obstacles. Okay. And that's why thus the gurus, they are very compassionate. Because out of compassion only they came, I mean, because they abandoned their own liberation. So they came back to guide us on the path. Okay. They made a great sacrifice for that purpose. Because they know they've gone through the path. So they know how difficult it is. So they came back. So because of their intelligence, because of their realization, so they devised various methods. Astaunga yoga is one of the methods. It's a time-tested method. In every practice like Kriya yoga, or even Raja yoga, many practice, all these practices are actually time-tested. Okay, devised by the masters. Okay, and there's one book called Vigyan Bhairav. So it listed 112 methods of meditation. Then I believe there are even more. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, I think. So any more questions, or else I think to 9 o'clock already. So if you have any other question, you can also personally text me. Okay, thanks for listening. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir.